Okay, let's go. I'm super happy. My name is Joachim Wikland. I'm not usually this happy at 8 o'clock in the morning, but today is a special day. We're gonna have the stories of search by industry peers. 5 years ago, I don't think that we would have named a webinar around i3 like this. So I think this is the first approach of what we can see with generative AI into daily work, setting titles on seminars, making sure we get easier access to more reliable data in day-to-day events. Today, we're gonna be listening at some of our clients and customers. We're gonna listen at some of our look into some of the deliveries that Findwise has done over the last year. First off, we're gonna listen at Anatol and from Arbetsförmedlingen together with Tova Erben at Findwise. After that, Magnus Andersson and Robert Andersén is going to talk about a ChatGPT solution that we are helping PPS Online, another part of Tietoevry, with. Darius Weaver, a renowned speaker. You heard him last time from Schneider Electric, is going to make another deep dive into how Schneider Electric uses our data in smart ways in their search platform. Husqvarna and Erik Sjöberg are going to present after Darius. And at the end, we're going to listen at our new product owner, Eva Krominska, who's going to present the roadmap for Findwise i3. So we have a full schedule ahead of us. Another 1.5 hours. And before we start, before I hand over to Anna, I want to say just one word about a small change that happened. I think it was 1.5 years ago since we had the last webinar here at Findwise, talking about i3 and roadmap. And a lot has happened within Findwise and Tietoevry since then. 1.5 years ago, Findwise was still Findwise. We were a small organization with 70 consultants delivering the best search deliveries that we could. Today, we are a big part of the Tietoevry Create organization. We are still the experts that you're used to working with, but we have another 10,000 consultants in our back, being able to support on a global deliveries, being able to support you in all your data and information challenges that lies ahead. So I think we are a stronger organization today than we were before, and we really look forward to many more years of consultancy and deliveries together with you guys. Feel free during the presentations to write in the chat any questions that you have, and we will try to answer them in the best way. We will lift up and lift forward a couple of the questions, if there are any, to the speakers after their presentations before we jump over to the next one. And at the end, if there are any open questions, we will try to lift them if there is time. So with those words, I'm happy to open up the presentations from our external speakers. And first off is Anna and Tova from Arbetsförmedlingen.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much. I'm just going to share. See if I can work that out. Okay, do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Great. Okay, I'm very happy to be here and talk about our not easy journey of implementing our new search engine and so forth. We call it From Setbacks to Success, the unexpected upside of our lengthy i3 upgrade. I'm Anatole. I'm a product manager for our web platform, and I work for, as Joakim says, Arbetsförmedlingen. That's the Swedish public employment service. So I go on, and what I want to talk about is, yes, I mentioned the lengthy upgrade, but our learnings on this, on the way. And I want to highlight 4 learnings. We have had, of course, a lot, but I want to highlight these 4, and we talk about clear vision. When we implemented, or when we decided to procure a new search engine, we had kind of Google search in our mind. It's not a bad vision, but it's not, maybe not too realistic, particularly when you're in public service. So we had to deal a lot with those, that vision, so to speak. Active ownership is another one. We didn't know very much in our organization about search, the technicality about the search and how to get good findability with the search and so on. We just aimed for it. So we were very dependent on our on Findwise and their consultancies. Maintainability is another thing. We talked about that. It's easy to just go on forward and see what fancy things you can do when you get a good search engine. But it's a backside of it too. You need to work more structured so you actually can maintain both technical wise and with the search on the websites. And then structure way of working. Define your way of working and keep improving it. It's very important. So I'm gonna this is just a shot on our journey. I will explain, you don't have to read everything on it, but we started 2018 and we are now at 2024. So it was a long time ago. And a lot of things happened, of course, on the way. 2018, we procured this new, we knew we wanted a new search engine. Our previous engine was like, you didn't find anything. It was a mess. And of course, it's not only the technical part that was a mess. It was also the findability in the relevance and so on. So we had a lot of information. We couldn't find it. We talked about find it in the lake. It's in the lake. So and it was very time consuming to find good information, particularly internally. I started first in 2019, so I wasn't a part of the procurement. And then we came to, we got the first license, we got our 2 first consultants, developers from Findwise, and we set up i3 on-prem. We are a public service, and most of our applications are on-prem. And we had this vision of enterprise search or Google search. And that vision made us actually to start with indexing our documents. We had a lot of documents in SharePoint, so we indexed SharePoint, and it's not hard to index a source. So we indexed the SharePoint and we published it. And then why it's written in red is that, wow, it was suddenly you could find anything. I mean, in I3, you inherit the authorization from the document, from the source, so it shouldn't be a problem. But it's also a strong, very strong and advanced search, so suddenly you find anything. So if it's not, you haven't put the right authorization on the document, it's so much easier to find. So we ended up with that people could see actually classified documentations because it wasn't set up correct in the source. So it took about less than a week and we had to close it down because it was too good, actually. And we still haven't indexed, or we still don't show our documents from SharePoint because we need to find a better solution. So we started with implemented content search. Content search is of course on the website, on our external web and internal web. And then we also implemented new searches like Search a Colleague that have information from several sources, and Search an Office that also have information from several sources. If we see how the landscape looked like around 2019 when we had our first implementation, it looks like this. And Tova, maybe you can explain a little bit what we see here.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so this was a little bit before my time, but what I could see from the code, the history of the code, it was just like Anna said, that the indexing started off pretty small with just like some main info, employee data for the intranet, and some pages and offices for the external web. There was, of course, this attempt with the SharePoint, but also some experimental indexing of Confluence and Jira, which sadly didn't make it to production, because personally I don't like the search in those applications very much. Another thing worth mentioning regarding architecture was that everything was running on Linux servers, even when I joined 3 years ago. And we were deploying with Jenkins and Puppet scripts, which, yeah, worked fine most of the time, but it wasn't maybe super well documented. And we were just praying that nothing would break, so that we would have to figure out how to fix it. Yeah, so that was how it looked in 2019.
Okay, and then we keep on going on this journey. So we have the content search, we have our Search a Colleague that's internal, of course, on the internet, and we have the Search on Offices, which is both external and internal. And then 2021, we mostly kept on improving and exploring the search. We knew we were in a legacy environment, so we had to move in the future into the new environment that we had planned for in the IT organization. So we started to looking at, okay, maybe we could move into a container environment instead. So we start planning for that, and by that time we had OCP 3. We start planning. But somehow it didn't work. So we had to stop that attempt because we knew we're going to move from OCP 3 to OCP 4 in the future. And that was such a big change. So we said we wait and change the strategy. And here we still haven't actually upgraded i3 any time since implementation in 2019. So we're here already starting to build the technical depth. A lot of things happened in the organizations, both our IT organization had a reorganization and Tieto and Every merged. So we lost some i3 competence and we had to rethink. So what we did, instead of having just two consultancies that were developer or Findwise consultancies, we said, okay, what if we start to have a consultant team instead? It's with the same budget, and we put in a Scrum Master, because we didn't have a appointed Scrum Master before this. And all these resources were from old Findwise, or now Tietoevry. And here is a game changer, because we started to structure our work in another way. And then we could start planning for the OCP4 and I3 upgrade. And we actually didn't have that much competence, both within the development team nor in the organization, about OpenShift or OCP4. So it took a while. And of course, we had a lot of things happening on the way. Here also, our IT organization decided to implement a more structured agile framework. It's safe-ish or scrum-ish. It's not exactly the same. We had worked agile before, but here was more in a structured way. Now we're getting closer to the end of legacy, and also the end of Jenkins that we had as a deployment before. So we had to pause the upgrade and work with moving from legacy servers to new servers, and then we moved from physical servers to virtual servers. So there was kind of a long pause, and then we could continue with the OCP4 consumer migration. We also had a large backlog during this period, because you don't want to maintain several environments. We tried really hard to freeze for any developments, but it's difficult to freeze totally. So we had to handle that on the way, so to speak. And here, yes, here in 2023, we had our Scrum Master from Findwise, or Tietoevry, was going to change. She was leaving the company. So then we decided for another game changer, that, okay, what if our organization take the responsibility for being a Scrum Master, so we learn more and take more control over the situation. So actually, I started as a Scrum Master here. I didn't have that much knowledge, neither of the search or as a Scrum Master, but that's how you have to do it, to just start learning. So now we have moved our all our consumers into the new environment. We have taken the control, and forward we are looking for more. We can start looking forward, and we are looking into more cognitive search, which is going to be so much interesting. Our can we see here? Our landscape or architecture has, of course, changed on the way. So, Tova, this one is about how it looks today. Can you please talk a little bit about this?
Yes. So today, 5 years later, we are still providing the internet and the external web, of.se, with search. But we are also, we now also have two additional internal consumers of media files, we could call it, and also instructions on how to deal with different documents in the organization. We're also, of course, indexing a little bit more data, doing some more enrichment. And as Anna pointed out, it was a very lengthy process with the OpenShift migration and the i3 upgrade. But we are now in a stage where we have our whole setup running in OpenShift. When we as a development team have, I would say, a better understanding of our deployment process today than what we had 3 years ago when I joined the project. We're also deploying with Argo CD, which is the standard tool at the organization. Over to you, Anna.
So if we just quickly go back to this picture that we started implementing 2019, and here 2021 we start planning for the i3 upgrade and the migration to OpenShift. But it took a few years, as you can see, because we had a lot of hinders on the way. And we learned a lot on the journey, both within the development team and within the organization. We had to redefine our vision. It's still enterprise search and advanced search, but we kind of, okay, maybe not Google search, maybe not the same, but a better search and keep a good search. We will always also index more sources, so broaden the search and start working with AI and see what we can get from that. So shortly about the team, how we work. We have the development team from the i3 development team from Tieto Every, and we have the product team from our organization, and we have different responsibilities. So the developers have the tech lead and developments, of course. They have the most contact with our infra organization, and they own the technical backlog. We didn't have a technical backlog before. And the product team then are me and one more person, and we have also an architect that we call in when we need. We are responsible for the Scrum Master. We are also the one closest to the stakeholders, and we own the product backlog. So it's quite clear. We work with the organization's framework, but we have our own defined way of working, which is one team. We use the Scrum Master ceremonies. We have the sprint retro after each sprint, and it's holy. That's how we continue to work on our way of working. We document, and we actually have a very high team trust. So it's really easy today to come in and out from this team. And it's really different from how it was in 2019 or 2020 when we start working. So back to our learnings. Clear vision. Yes, define a good vision, but make sure it's also realistic. Of course, a vision is a vision, but somehow, hey, we work in a public service. We have a lot of obstacles or hinders on the way to be there. Active ownership. Really build up your own search competence, both within the product, but also, or the platform, but also for each stakeholder. So we can understand what is findability and maintain that part as well. Maintainability, make sure to set time for technical improvement. We always put some time in our sprint planning to make sure that, do we need to upgrade? Do we need to fix this technical stuff so we don't end up in the same situation as we had before? And of course, this structured way of working that we have been talking about is really, really helpful to have this structure, so you make sure that you work in a very good and structured way. Yes, that was actually all I was going to say in this quick, fast way. So why it took a long time, but we have learned so much. If we had some of it earlier, understood some of it earlier, maybe it would have been quicker. But now we are really a very good team, and it works very, very well. If you need to contact me, if you have any questions or anything else, you have my email address here, and I hand it back to you, Joachim.
Thank you, Anna. I think that, at least for me, it's a bit clearer why we choose the title from Setback to Success, the unexpected upside of a lengthy i3 upgrade. A bit long, confusing at start, but having 3-4 years of interruptions before you actually could get the upgrade started makes sense. It's not really about the upgrade, it's about everything else fitting into place, right?
Yes.
So thanks a lot for the presentation, Anna. Very appreciated. We're gonna continue directly, and I will hand over to our find and search wizards, Magnus Andersson and Robert Andersén, talking about PPS online and how generative AI can make sense in a solution like that. I hand over to you, Robert.
Yes, can you see my screen?
We can.
Thank you. All right. So welcome to this next talk, which will be about combining generative AI and i3 to create a chatbot for chatting with your data. And we did this POC with PPS using their data. I hope that caught your interest. And I also hope that in 50 minutes from now, we will have been able to convince you that you should come to us with your generative AI and RAG problems. So first off, who are we? We are two tech wizards at Findwise, and we're part of a team doing this POC. Simon Almgren and Tobias Hagström were also part of this team. Now, let's talk about the typical problem that you face today. And that is that there is too much data. The problem is not finding data, it's finding the data that is most relevant and useful to you. Making things even worse is that the information may be spread out across multiple different sources. And I think the metaphor of finding a needle in a haystack is pretty apt here. Consider traditional full text search. You make a query, and then you have to scan the result list and potentially each hit looking for the information that you are interested in. That can be very cumbersome, and even more so if the information is found across different sources. So is there a solution to this problem? A solution that can find and bring together different pieces of information and summarize it in an accurate and concise manner. Before I give an answer, I will briefly talk a bit about generative AI and large language models. And I will venture a guess here that by now, there is not a single person in the audience who hasn't at least tried ChatGPT or used it to solve a problem. And LLMs are not new, but advances in the last 2 years or so have radically changed the picture and made these models very useful for many different use cases. And they are particularly great at understanding text and generating text given a prompt. And to mention some things about them, they are great general conversationalists. They have very, very broad knowledge about things that are well known. And to extract useful information, you prompt them. And that is a very important part as well. But they do have some limitations, one of which is that they don't have any real-time data. So in this example, we asked the question, who won the US presidential election debate? And ChatGPT says that it doesn't have real-time updates, so it can't provide results of the debate. That's one limitation. And you also cannot have any answer outside of the training data. An LLM may also hallucinate, as you can see in this example. How many R's are in strawberry? And ChatGPT says there are 2 R's. That's obviously wrong. So that is also something you need to consider. And it can just give a straight up wrong answer, like in this, or it may even hallucinate something that sounds plausible or realistic, but is totally wrong. Now, let's come back to the question I posed earlier. Is there a solution to the problem I described earlier? There is a solution, and it's called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. And as the name suggests, the idea is that you retrieve some information, and then you pass this information to the LLM to improve the quality of the generated text. And usually the data that you pass is domain-specific data or proprietary data that the DOM model doesn't know about. So you prompt the model to answer a question given these sources from this data. And if we take a look at this diagram, you have the user on the right, and the user is chatting with a chatbot. And in behind the scenes, when the user writes a query, the LLM may potentially rewrite the query given the context and previous conversation. And then you embed the query, which is an important part here, semantic search. Rather than focusing on specific keywords and whether they exist in a document, you focus on the actual meaning of the query and how well that query matches a text. And in our case, we used Elasticsearch as our vector database. So we embed the query and then we query Elasticsearch for relevant documents. We combine the query with these sources that we find, and we give them to the large language model and prompt it to answer the question given these sources. And the answer will receive and the user will receive an answer. And there are some key points here, and that is that search is very important. But of course, at some point, at some level, it comes down to finding the actual information that you need to answer a question. And some important factors here are data quality, relevance tuning, and the choice of language models. There are multiple different language models. They can be multilingual, meaning they have been trained on different languages and understand different languages. And that is an important choice, which model you use. And building a RAG solution is easily done on an existing i3 platform. Just note that you do need version 3.7 or later. So if you have been considering whether to upgrade, this can be another motivation to do so. With that, I'm leaving it over to Magnus.
Thank you. Yeah, so for this POC, we collaborated with our fellow colleagues within PPS. So they have an online portal where they give access to and teach their comprehensive project management model. So they have a complete model, and that means that there is a lot of specific language and a lot of terms which require a context to know what you're talking about when you talk about them. And they teach this model to more than 100 customers. So that's a lot of people who could benefit from having someone at their beck and call, ready to answer whatever questions might crop up in their day-to-day operations, and knowing the context of what they're talking about. And that really is the core of why this was such a natural starting place for this solution. So what did we actually do in this POC? Well, we made a chatbot utilizing the PPS dataset. And this was all done in the Azure cloud, combining the i3 platform with the scalability of Azure and their OpenAI service. So this allows us to harness the strength of i3 without any major overhaul of either platform. So we get our customizable data processing. We get access to Elasticsearch and our own relevance tuning with i3 search. And then you have the embedding models, which Robert talked about, where you can have, there are options for the embedding models, and you really want the freedom to go with whatever is the best fitting model for your use case. So for example, in this POC, we were dealing with both a Swedish and an English dataset, and that gives you the option of going for a multilingual model or several monolingual models for each language. And with the way we have built this project, both approaches are completely valid, and I think that gives great customizability for whatever use case you have in mind. And doing this integration allows us to combine multiple different data sources. which we think is very important so that we don't lock ourselves into any specific data containers, because that could be a huge hurdle in some of your cases. So yeah, and this really is what we managed to achieve. And now we are at the end of this POC with PPS, and they are able to chat with their data, get the relevant answers to their user questions to make informed decisions. And we are now together with the PPS looking at what are the next steps after this POC, and what that might entail will be presented on PPS Customer Day coming next month. So stay tuned. But yeah, this POC was achieved by a team over a couple of weeks. But this was like our maiden voyage, we're unexplored territory. So if this has piqued your interest, just know that the next time we're doing this, we're looking at just a couple of days to have a test environment up and running in the Azure cloud with your data, looking at ready to answer your questions. So I think that's pretty sweet. All right, let's just jump into a short little demo here and see what interacting with your data might look like. So yeah, let's do the first example there. What roles exist in a program organization? Project management question one might have. So here we get a short bullet point answer, just straight to the point, quoting a single source. And that is really the important part here, that we know what the answer is based on. So we can actually fact check the bot, and we know that it's not hallucinating a plausible sounding answer. So, and yeah, this is a demo environment. So of course we want it easy to fact check the bot. So you can just access these, the actual data source and see where does the answer come from. Very neat. This was a pretty simple question, so you only require one source to answer it. But there are more advanced questions, like the second example here, like what should one consider when conducting a risk analysis? And here we will see how many sources are required. So no matter, like, easy, hard question, the chatbot is provided multiple data sources and is given access to a lot of information, and then it can pick and choose, like, do I need just a single source, or do I need to synthesize the answer using multiple different sources? Like in this case, it goes for a more in-depth answer, and it needs to pull the data from multiple different sources. And both are valid. Like if you have a clear answer in a single source, then of course go ahead and use that. But sometimes you just require more compilation to answer the question. The important part is that the user experience stays the same. And yeah, in this case, it really is like you ask one question, you get one answer. It doesn't matter how much behind the scenes data need to be found or compiled and stuff. If the answer requires it, it will provide. Yeah, that's pretty neat. All right, let's not give away the entire PPS model right here. Yeah, just to wrap it up, and to reflect on what Robert said, that here we are 15 minutes roughly later, and maybe you've realized that this is the solution to your RAG and generative AI problems. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Robert and Magnus. Interesting to see a live case. And as you started off, today it's super fast to get started in testing and see what you can do with especially internal data. And don't be afraid to reach out to us using i3 to do this. And we're going to open up and welcome Erik Sjöberg from Husqvarna. talk about how to use a modern digital content distribution. So let's see what the product data at Husqvarna has to say.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me okay. I think it should be okay. Yep.
Yes.
All right. So my name is Erik Sjöberg. I am the owner of the global service that we have for digital content distribution. So I will be talking about the journey that we have made as a company for reaching this point in this capability. So I am legally obstructed to, I have to present Husqvarna Group, but it's not going to be that much, right? So we've been around for a while. We're doing outdoor and construction products, so we're a manufacturing company, right? We're a global presence, so we're everywhere, mostly in Europe, but growing worldwide, right? And we have 3 business divisions. So it's forest and gardening tools, and residential and gardening, and professional construction, right? There's also a group common organization like global IT, where I am. And the point of showing you this is not to brag about how strong our market share is, but to establish the fact that we have strong units, and these units have strong wills. So if there are many wills, but there's no strategy, we don't really have a good direction. And this is where I wanted to start, right? So we have many good strategies and we have good leadership, but we have not really had this when it comes to content distribution. And what is content distribution? This is a slightly different topic than just search in general. But you can say that we have professionals creating content for us, digital media content from all over the world, hundreds of professionals. And we want to show this to our customers so they buy our products, right? And content like this is called digital assets, and it's part of enterprise data things like anything, right? So it can be images, videos, documents in various ways like manuals and white papers and so on. So we need to get this content to the customers, but we need to do it in an orderly fashion, right? So we pay the professionals here money to create the content. So we own the content and we have to make sure that we handle the content in a good way. So that means proper governance with owners, approvals, versioning, and so on. So we have defined that these are the types of content that we should handle as digital assets, right? And we had, up until a couple of years ago, as I said, we didn't really have a good strategy for this, how to distribute the content that we have. So we had, of course, a DAM for images, and we had websites showing these images. And it mostly worked, right? But it was very complex. So this is an actual architectural overview that we tried to do back then. I just removed some product names and actually simplified it somewhat. But this is how it looked in 2020. So it's not very good in that sense, not very easy. I need to explain that a digital asset has 2 parts, right? So it's metadata, like a title or an ID or the owner, and then the actual binary file, like a TIFF file or an MP4 file. So both of these parts has to be distributed from the DAM, right, to the web app to display it correctly. So if we had an issue where this image is not showing up correctly, or this manual is not in the right language or something, it was very difficult to troubleshoot this. We had to involve many people from many systems, many different parts, right, to try and troubleshoot and locate the issue and fix it. And then, of course, there's a big overlap between the systems, creating a large overhead cost. So something had to be done with this. So this is where I came in, really. I started at Husqvarna in 2019. So I was responsible back then for only like the DAM tool that we had, but I saw that this we have to do something about this. So I started working on this. So I gathered architects and people that know what they're doing, and we sat down to try to together like define a principle for how we want digital content to be distributed in the company. And this is based on an information model for enterprise data. I can't remember the name of it, but the principle is true. We must handle both the parts of the digital asset in a clear and governed way, and this has to be done in several steps or layers like this. So we have used this principle. I'll go into the details a bit more on the next slide here. But this is the principle we've used to shape the strategy for the content distribution service. We've been working on this for a couple of years now. And implementing this is a long process, and we're not all the way there yet, but we're basically here, more or less. So we can at least I can talk about it in a good way. So now all the content is using this service to be distributed, and this principle a bit further, right? The contributing layer is where the content is created or added. So it's in we have a product lifecycle management because we're a manufacturing company. So it's R&D, sales and marketing, manufacturing. So they create like the metadata for products, all the PIM information. And the DAM, of course, is where we have a digital asset management. It's where we have all the images and videos and all the stuff. The mastering layer is then where everything is identified, versioned, and linked. So this is master data. The MDM tool that we have can also handle enterprise data in general. So it's not just the identifiers, but actual content on metadata content. So and this is multi-domain, so it's not just PIM. It's also customers, suppliers, employees, applications, all types of different master data and enterprise data that we have, including digital assets. This is not like how many products we have sold in a month. It's more about what the product is. How many is more BI and analytics data, and that's not part of this. So that's a separate thing. And then all this data is sent to the data lake, Finns i sjön, as we know it. We heard that before as well. And it's well, everything is in the lake as it is. But the binary file part is sent to a CDN, a content delivery network. So it's globally available with a URL. And this link is also sent to the lake as part of the metadata on a digital asset. So now we have a lot of data, and we need something that can handle a lot of data, so that can combine, sort it, index it, and prepare it to be served. And this is where we have the Findwise i3 service. And this is why I'm here today, I suppose. So i3 is very central and an important part of the service, as it can do all the processing that we need. I think we've had i3 for 8 years or so. But the good part of that is that we've had it a long time. It's established. The bad part is that we have not had really the chance to upgrade it in a while. So there's that. But anyway, i3 does its magic, and then we can present it to the consumers through a number of APIs. They can request, like, give me the product image for this article, and they get the URL to the image, and they can display it on the web page. So this is the green layers is the service that I'm owning, and we're calling it Content API. It's more than just an API. It's a lot of processing, but for users out there, it's what they face. It's the interface that they access. So we call it Content API. And this principle is also true for enterprise data in general. And yeah, so, right. I'll continue. So now when we have just a single global service for all the things, we, regardless if it's a web page or an app, all the digital assets are, they find the data in the same way. They load the data from the same location. We will have one CDN. So it's much simpler, and we know what the cost is, and we know that the cost is lower because we have fewer copies of the same data, and it's much easier to support the service. We can also follow up on the usage and performance and know what to do going forward. So we have now a change management and a data governance for digital assets and also enterprise data. So we have owners, like we said. It's very important to have owners of things. And here are some examples of where we use this service, right? So these are public websites, husqvarna.com, gardena.com. So we have videos and images showing there, right? We also have support pages where we have the part lists like this. This is a big i3 thing to be able to show and display all the part list with the parts and everything, right? Also documents in that sense. And this is a media bank. It's for dealers and retailers where they can find high resolution sources of our digital assets, images and videos and so on. And this is actually built by front-end developers at Tietoevry, and it's directly using i3 service to search for content. So this is really good, and we see more areas where this type of portal is useful. So we're expanding on this. There's also another example why this is good. Some of you might know about it, but there's EU have an accessibility act that will in next year. It's saying that consumer-facing websites that sell products or services must support screen reading, and that means that every asset, every image must have an alternate text. So now we have a generative AI that adds the text for an image. Looking what is the image displaying, and it writes a descriptive text, and we can send it through the service to every app and every website so they can use it. So we don't have to update all the individual systems to have this information, but it's just there in the service from the start. We do see some future challenges with this. And it's mostly related to how content is consumed, but also how it's processed and prepared, right? And AI is a hot topic, and as I said, we do already use AI for many things, but it's mostly for static content, like the alternate text. It doesn't really change. But we need to support dynamic generation of content also. This is a big thing. We also need to start having AI translate text like the alternate text. This is a huge potential cost saver, because this is very expensive in general. We also have to we're looking into additional CDN services, so we can serve content in different content with more capabilities. Like if you watch a video on our website on a phone, it doesn't need to be like 4K super high resolution. It can scale it automatically to a resolution that's more fitting for a mobile phone, right? Or if you search for if you're looking at the manual, you don't need a 200-page PDF. You just want, how do I change the oil in my chainsaw, and you can display just that topic. And also expanding the support for how the data is consumed. Like, it's not just an ID lookup, but we also see more requests for complex searches, fuzzy searches, like i3 can provide, but also like search by image. So you can take a picture of your this is my chainsaw, how do I get support for this, and you will get to the proper page, right? So that that was it really that I wanted to talk about. So I hope that something of that was interesting. Just reach out to me if you have any questions or anything. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erik. I think it was interesting to understand the workflow of data at Husqvarna. And I see a big change from when I first saw the system early before 2020 and what I see now, and especially in vision, where you're going. Cool. We're going to give the last couple of minutes to Eva to talk about the i3 roadmap. So Eva, without any other words, take it away.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Eva Hrominska, and I'm the new product owner for Findwise i3 product. And it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. Today, I will present you the key milestones and features that we have lined up for our product. So let's just dive into the details on the screen here. Okay, first, let me start with our key drivers. So these are the drivers that are shaping the future of our product. I think it's important to just briefly go through each one of them, three of those, because they also represent our commitment to innovation and to excellence. So the first one is to be ready for cloud environments. We'd like to allow our clients to leverage the full potential of cloud technologies. That's why we are committed to ensuring that our product is fully optimized for cloud environments. To provide advanced search experience, we understand the importance of finding the right information quickly and efficiently. That's why we are investing in advanced search capabilities that deliver precise and relevant results. And the last one, to support and restrain data enhancements. Data is at the heart of everything we do, and our goal is to support and restrain data enhancements, enabling you, our clients, to manage, analyze, and utilize your data without limitations. Okay, if it comes to the roadmap, so whenever we put an item on the roadmap, we always make sure that this item is in line with those directions. So moving on to the next slide, the actual roadmap. Here you can see this horizontal line represents a timeline, and it's split into 4 pieces. Each piece represents a quarter. So going from the left, in Q4, we will be delivering stable version 4 of our platform. In Q1 of 2025, we would like to have 2 minor releases, so versions 4.1 and 4.2. In Q2, another set of 2 minor releases. And in Q3 of 2025, stable version 5. So that's the plan, and that's our ambition. If it comes to features and enhancements, I have listed them with those bullet points. So let me briefly go through each one of them, highlighting the benefits of implementing those. So the first one is Java 17 and latest versions of Elasticsearch and Solar engines. This to offer you benefits that come with these upgrades, such as improved code security, faster and more accurate search results, and the better handling of large data sets. Next, new user and security management for all i3 services. With that, we will improve security, ease user management, and simply we will better comply with different security standards. New features that support relevancy for SEP 3. SEP is Search Editor Portal. And with that, we would like to give you more accurate and relevant search results that will lead to better user satisfaction. Next, standardized orchestration with Docker and Kubernetes. That's more for the consultants to ease their life a little bit. Right, that will allow them and you as our clients to increase efficiency and better use the resources you have. Next, development of i3 AI capabilities, including RAG. So we have AI service, and in the upcoming months, we would like to enhance it, including integration with RAG for enhanced AI responses. cloud scalability of i3 index. So enhancements around our index service, its optimization on cloud, this to allow our clients to use the full potential of cloud technologies, such as scaling resources up and down based on the demands. i3 process on Azure native functions, that's more for clients that are using Azure as a cloud provider. And because it's a step towards better integration with Azure services. Infrastructure as a code with Terraform, that is also for developers for consistent and repeatable deployments that are easy collaboration and allow us basically to control versions better. New query completion API, and thanks to that better user experience, we have auto-completion functions in search service, but in the upcoming months, we're planning to review it, enhance it, and implement latest best practices. Java upgrade to version 21 with i3 version 5. That will give us latest Java features. And last but not least, easy replacement of MongoDB in i3 index. The goal here is to simplify the process of replacing Mongo database with other databases to reduce dependency on a single database technology. And that's actually everything I have prepared. I wanted to highlight just the key features and functionalities that we will be focusing on in the next few months. And to finish, I guess I should also add that, probably you know that, but we value the input and feedback of our clients. That's why please feel free to reach out to your consultants or even directly to me with your feedback, with your requests for features, requests for enhancements, things like that. We're really open to it. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you. Back to you, Joachim.
Thanks a lot, Eva. I think it looks like a strong pipeline going forward with new features, and especially I really like us moving towards the cloud as a major feature. I think wrapping up, for me, what stands out between all speakers is that strong ownership of the product or the platform is crucial. It's what actually one of the parts that stands out in a good way with all speakers. Vision, a strategy, where you want to go with your platform, why you have it, usability for the end user. I think that in all presentations, some sort of generative AI, more or less, are peeking around the corner, or if not already used, to make sense and improve features and functionalities. Regardless if it's a RAG model or if it's making it more simple to handle translations or conforming towards new regulations, or just making it easier for our developers to actually develop and maintain the product. AI is most likely here to stay this time. But this has been 1.5 hours of, I think, very interesting presentations from our customers. We look forward to next session. Hopefully not 1.5 years away, but try to make this a bit more frequent, because it's very interesting to understand how you guys use the different tools in Findwise i3 and where it makes sense in your business and creates value. Good. I've checked the chat. There's no questions apart from the one from Victor that Darius has answered in the chat. And if you have any more questions for the speakers or for us at Findwise, don't hesitate to reach out afterwards. And with those words, thanks a lot for coming and listening, and see you in a while. Thanks.